Hello Magic fans, welcome to another unboxing video. So it's time for the Midnight Hunt. So first things first, I'd like to say that I really like the new packaging of the set boosters. So they're much more compact, easier to store. So just for a comparison, you'll see this is the previous set booster from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. And you'll see that it's probably the same height as, or it takes up as much space as two of the newer set booster boxes. And comparing that, of course, to your normal draft booster box, it's just a little bit shorter, because it only has 30 boosters compared to your 36 booster packs for your draft booster box. So getting that out of the way, let's, open our box of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So it did come with a buy a box promo. So, yep, from my local game store, Neutral Grounds. So thanks to Pete, who's the manager there. So the buy a box card is Champion of the Perished. I'm not sure if you can see, but the art is a bit dark. It's it is a nice card. It's a throwback to, I think, Champion of the Parish, except here it's a black zombie. It's one black for a 1/1 zombie, and whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Champion of the Parish. So probably does work well with a lot of the decayed zombie creation mechanics for the set. Yeah, anyway, and also for being in Asia Pacific, sometimes we do get nice promos. So they were giving out these Year of the Ox promotions because of local pandemic related restrictions. We don't really have a lot of in-store play, so I think one of the promotions, if you get a set booster box, they will give you one of the Year of the Ox promos. So I did get a Tangart First Mate, an Ox of Agonas, and an Angrath the Flame Chained. I am missing Morag, but then getting 3 of the promos, I'm still very happy that at least I got 3 different ones. So they were given out in randomly. Okay, so anyway, let's open our box and see what we get. I was able to play like a couple of games on Arena just to try out the flavor of the set. Comparing it to maybe Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, it's I would say a much more powerful set. Mainly based on like the power toughness of the creatures. And also, it has a lot more removal compared to Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Something new that they started with the dispatch of set boosters is that they're also including some of the cards from Commander, the Commander decks. Previously, they were only releasing them with the collector's boosters, but now they are including them in the set boosters. And also something different for these set boosters is that they're including the token card, where if you have your double-faced cards, which there are many in this set, then you can use that because it'll have a Magic the Gathering back and put it in your deck. So probably good for drafts if you're not playing with sleeves and such. So okay, so the first card will be our art card, and then the next card will be our Eternal Night, I think it was called, basic land card. I'm not sure if you can see this very clearly, but the white line here for the plains, it looks like it's etched, so it has a different, I guess, texture from the rest of the card, whereas the rest of the card will be black and white. And then I think we'll have five or six. Oh, so here it's four commons, and then 2 uncommons. So the first card that we get, our first mythic, is actually a mythic from the commander sets. So Lenore, Autumn Sovereign. And then here's a common. I think the next 2 are basically the flip cards, maybe. Yeah, and then our first rare for the box is Curse of Surveillance. It's one of the new aura curses from the set. And then our first foil is Baneblade Scoundrel. Yeah, and so this is the token card I was talking about. So previously you could only find these in the draft boosters, but now they're also including them along with tokens in set boosters, which I think is a good addition. I think these things are very useful. You can use them for whatever, as you know, if you needed something like a proxy when you're playing with your friends, or maybe, you know, in the future where we have Magic the Gathering events, you can ask people to sign them and then keep it in your collection. Art card. So you'll see, I think it's probably much clearer in this basic land, the treatment that they have. I hope that it shows up on the camera. So Arrogant Outlaw, Bat Whisperer, Bounding Wolf, Flesh Taker, Ardix Outrider, Rite of Oblivion. And one of the different showcase treatments is this Bird Admirer. There's 2 different kinds of treatments for these showcase cards. I think hopefully you will see a couple of them in a bit. Mystic Skull. So our second rare is Smoldering Egg. I've seen a couple of decks that use this. It's a 0/4 Defender Dragon Egg for 1 and a red. And if you cast an instant or sorcery, you put a number of Ember counters equal to the mana value, or the mana spent to cast a spell. Then if it has 7 or more Ember counters, you remove them, and then you transform the egg, and it becomes a 4/4 dragon flying. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, the dragon deals 4 damage to any target. So I think you could probably, you know, I've seen a couple of decks that were built around it, and they seem pretty interesting to me. So what has been your experience if you've had a chance to play some, you know, draft or sealed for the sets? You know, how do you feel about the set so far? I've actually played a game where this vampire interloper killed me. My deck didn't really have a lot of flying creatures. I had a lot of removal, but I didn't draw any, and I was, you know, killed in like 4 turns by a flying vampire. Couldn't even block. So Mounted Dread Knight. So Olivia's Ambush, one of, I think, the better and cheap removal cards. It gives a creature -2/-2 until end of turn, but then if it's night, it gets -13/-13. It's very, very good if you're maybe playing a red-black deck, because you'll have some creatures that are interested in day or night, or against decks that maybe are werewolf heavy. But obviously sometimes you might come up against a deck that doesn't really care about day or night, that doesn't play any cards, and it will be a bit weaker, but for the cost, I think it's a very good removal spell for limited. So we do get 3 cards in this showcase frame. Houndtamer, Candlegrove Witch, and Dawnheart Rejuvenator. And our third rare is Dire Strain Rampage, and foil Tapping of the Window. Our first list card is Cranial Plating. So it does have Duress, Thraben Exorcism. I probably would sideboard. It's not going to be one of my first picks in terms of removal. I do sometimes pick this Lambhort Harrier. It's a 2/2 for 1 and a red, and you know, with for 3 in a red, target creature can't block this turn, so it's going to be good late game if you just need to push through a bit more damage to kill your opponent. This is one of the probably stronger removal spells. Destroy target creature, but you lose 2 life. It's an instant though, so you know, very good card. So again, to showcase, we get a Lunar Veteran. Our next rare is the Celestis, Bat Whisperer, and our second list card is Simian Spirit Guide. Oh, so one of the other mechanics, of course, with this set is flashback. So, you know, a lot of the cards, it's something that you should remember if you're playing maybe Paper Magic. If you're playing Arena, you can actually see, because it tells you what cards have flashback that your opponents can cast and you can cast. But if you're playing Paper Magic, it's good to remind yourself that this set has a lot of flashback cards. Foul Play, it's decent removal. It's not the best one, but you know, removal is removal if you're playing limited. So far we have at least 3 removal spells from black to uncommon to uncommon. This one, destroy target creature with power 2 or less. Investigate. You can combo it with the other card for creatures that maybe have higher power. But you'll notice in this set that a lot of the werewolves, if it's day, their powers are much lower. So you can actually kill them using Foul Play. So it's not a bad removal spell to get. So Voldaren Ambusher has a bit of the same ability. If an opponent lost life this turn, it deals X damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker, where X is a number of vampires you control. So you probably would have to play red-black a bit heavy on vampires. So we get our second card that's from the Commander set. This is Curse Obsession. So one thing that they did bring back for this set is the curses. Tavern Ruffian with the showcase frame, Exotic Awakener, and one of the dual lands for this set is, I think they call them the slow lands. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. So it's not specific that they have to be 2 basic lands. So any 2 other lands and it will enter untapped. So our third list card is Lightning Axe. So our first foil. So the foil lands also have that same different treatment, I think. So it's the line surrounding it is pretty obvious. I didn't notice that until I see it now in person. I'm not sure if this will come through when I'm doing this on video, but it's pretty nice. So Geistwave is another card that's interesting. It returns a non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And so you can target yours or your opponent's, but if you control the permanent, you can draw a card. So it's also good for like combat tricks. This set does have a number of combat tricks, and if you're in blue, it's something that's probably useful. You can bounce an opponent's creatures if they gain maybe a lot of +1/+1 counters. Or return one of your creatures if they're about to die, if you know your opponent's playing some removal. So I think it's a decent card. It does Sun-Galt Barrage. It destroys a target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Of course, it's the removal, but a bit more limited because of the restriction or the requirement for the toughness to be 4. So it's not a power, it's a toughness requirement. But you'll see that a lot of the creatures in this set do have a higher toughness. Stormkirk Bloodteeth, it's a vampire rogue. So at the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a 1/1 +1/+1 counter on a target vampire. So it's usually you put it on him, but of course, or her, yeah, on her. But you can put it on any vampire. So if you have different other vampires in your deck, you can actually grow some of your other vampires. I you know, there are a bit of direct damage sort of spells, or spells that cause your opponent to lose life in black. So you can actually combo it with this card and it'll grow itself at the end of the turn. So our rare is our croaking counterpart. So it's an interesting card. So it's 1 green and a blue for a sorcery, and then you create a token that's a copy of target non-frog creature, except it's a 1/1 green frog. So you can create, or you can copy one of your opponent's creatures that has a nice ability. Probably especially good if you're playing commander, and you can do it twice because of flashback. Lock in the Cemetery for our foil. Yep, I know this first box, it's going to be a bit of a longer video than usual. You know, it's a new set. There are a lot of interesting things to maybe talk about and see, and I'm, you know, really just taking my time looking at the cards. Cathar Commando is another interesting card. It has flash. It's 1 in the white for a 3/1 human soldier. And you can pay 1 to sacrifice it to destroy a target artifact or enchantment. So probably good for your humans decks. If you need, you know, something more versatile, you can sacrifice it at any time. Yeah, so I think it's a pretty decent card. Hungry for More, one of our multicolor flashback cards. It creates a 3/1 black and red vampire with trample, lifelink, and haste, but you sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. And then you can flash it back. So it's good for like maybe instant, you know, life gain type of thing. Vampire Socialite, Kessig Naturalist, Birdmire, and then more Memory Deluge is our rare, and Diagraph Rebirth for our foil. Ooh, wow. Okay, I didn't expect this. We do get our extended art version of Renin 7. So it's 3 green for a mythic planeswalker that has 5 loyalty. +1 ability, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. The 0, put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. The -3 ability, create a green 3/4 creature token with reach, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. And then -8 for return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. I'm super happy to get that. Heirloom Mirror, Harvesttide Infiltrator, and then our second mythic for the box, actually, Jaren, Corrupted Bishop. He's a 2 in the black for a 2/3 human cleric. Whenever Jaren, Corrupted Bishop, enters the battlefield or another non-token human you control dies, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 white human creature token. And then you pay 2, target human you control gains lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if you have exactly 13 life, you may pay 4 black if you do transform Jaren. And so Jaren becomes Ormondal the Corruptor. It's a flying trample lifelink, 6/6, and if you sacrifice another creature, you draw a card. I think if you're playing this card, maybe in Commander, you're basically basing your strategy around this front part of the card. It's probably going to be difficult to have exactly 13 life. Anyway, interesting. And then Gavany Silversmith is our foil. So we're only a third of the way through. Maybe we can speed some of the opening along. I don't really want to take that much of your time. But I do want to talk about this Falcon Abomination. I used this in a draft recently in Arena. It's interesting. It's 2 in the blue for a flying zombie bird that's 2/2. But when it comes into play, you put in a 2/2 zombie with Decayed. So basically, you get 2 creatures. But of course, the Decayed zombie will die if you attack it at the end of combat. So I was playing a Simic deck and I had a combo for it. Maybe we'll get it later on, but it's one of the multicolor cards with flashback, and you sacrifice creatures and it creates an XX creature with menace. The X would be the total power of the creatures you sacrifice. It works very well with the zombies. So Field of Ruin is in this set, so you know it's for those pesky creature lands from the past few sets. Your Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, Kaldheim. So you probably will need to run this if you're playing Standard. So this is interesting that you can get two of the same card in one pack, and at this, you know, one after the other. That's kind of weird, but you know, probably happens. Willow Geist is our rare for this pack. Oh, it's actually 3, so 2 of the same and then 1 in foil. And then, okay, so next pile of cards, next 10 packs. So I've seen a couple of people draft this card, Jack-O-Lantern. It's a 1 to cast artifact. So 1 tap, sacrifice Jack-O-Lantern, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard, and then you get to draw a card. So it's basically cantrip, and then exile Jack-O-Lantern from your graveyard. You add 1 mana of any color by paying 1. So it also sort of fixes your mana if you're playing multicolor, or maybe if you're just splashing an additional color in your deck. So it's good for mana fixing in limited. So our we get Wellhelt, the Rot Cleaver, another one of our Commander Mythics. And then our rare for this pack is Galvanic Iteration. And Unruly Mob for our foil. So this is one of the removal spells for red, Moonrager Slash, 2 and a red for an instant. It will cost 2 less if it's night, and it deals 3 damage to any target, sort of like a lightning bolt, but it's conditional on it being day or night. So if it's day, then it will cost 3 to cast. If it's night, then it just costs 1 red. I was able to do some interesting combat tricks because you know, I was playing an opponent who was a werewolf deck, and so they wanted it to be night. So it turned into night. I was able to kill one of their creatures during combat because, you know, Moonrager Slash became 1 red to cast. Thank you to the opponent. It does have Electric Revelation, so it's one of the looting type of cards. You discard a card and then you get to draw 2 cards, and it has flashback. So one of those. Good if you want to have extra, you know, card draw in red. And our third mythic for this box is Lord of the Forsaken. It's a 4 black for a 6/6 demon. It has flying and trample. You pay black, sacrifice another creature. A target player mills 3 cards, and you can pay 1 life. It'll add colorless. You can spend this mana only to cast a spell from a graveyard. And then I think this is the other showcase treatment for the set. So this Rem Karol's Stalwart Slayer, foil rare, 1 red and a white for a 2/3 human knight. It has flying and haste. If a spell would deal damage to you or another permanent you control, you prevent that damage. And if a spell would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1 instead. So it sort of forces your opponent to try to deal with it first before it can hit you or your creatures. We get our Auger of Autumn, which I'm happy to get. It's one of the maybe landfall related type of cards. 1 green for a 2/3 human druid. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You can play lands from the top of your library, and if it has Coven, so if you have 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may cast creature spells from the top of your library. So I think it's a combination of Courser of Kruphix and I think Vizier of the Menagerie, I think. So yeah, does a couple of things. I think I'll be able to use it in my commander decks. Our mythic from the list is Hellkite Overlord. Here you go. So we get Geistwave Reservoir as the rare for this pack, Diagraph Cord foil, and Blightsickle from the list. So it has an interesting mechanic, Blightsickle. It deals damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. They call it Wither, but I think it's similar to maybe Poison, right? Brimstone Vandal is one of the new creatures that has an effect when day becomes night. It'll do something. So this particular creature, it will deal 1 damage to each opponent if day turns into night. So probably something if you want to hurt your opponents, maybe if you're using Torbrand as your commander in Commander, and then, you know, if you're also doing something related to having day or night in play. Then that should be interesting. If you're probably playing with the maybe Innistrad Midnight Hunt commander decks, I'm sure it's probably going to be something interesting to build around. Our rare is Angel Fire Ignition. It's a 1 red and white for sorcery. You put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It has Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink, and Indestructible until end of turn, and it has Flashback. When I was playing Sealed in Arena, I got 2 of these in my deck. So you know, I played Boros, of course, and I did win 7 games. Pretty strong card in Limited, I'd have to say. It doesn't really have a surprise factor, but it does make your creatures huge and gives them a lot of abilities. So it can, you know, win you games just because of that. We get another rare from the commander decks, Visions of Ruin. And our rare is Danik Pious Apprentice. So Sigarda's Splendor is our rare, and then Mysterious Tome is our foil. I'm not sure if my experience is the same with yours, but I think compared to the previous set boosters, it almost seems that you're less likely to get multiple rares in a pack, and it's almost mostly, I think, one or rare or mythic in a pack. Unless you get probably a rare from the commander set, so Visions of Duality. And then our second dual land, it's Deserted Beach. And Father Cannon as our list card. So our rare is Vadrik Astral Archmage. So last pack from our second pile of cards. Curse of Shaken Fate is our rare, and Bounding Wolf is our foil. So last 10 packs for the box. I'm kind of a bit surprised. This video is a bit longer than I expected it to be, But it's nice to talk about a new set and, you know, what we've experienced in the limited amount of games we were able to play. So let me know, you know, what you think about the set so far. So our next mythic is Tainted Adversary, Nebelgas Intruder, and we get Stone Giant from the list. Curse of Silence is our rare, and foil, and token. Spectral Adversary is our mythic, Hobbling Zombie foil. Puppet Stitcher is our mythic, and Phantom Charger foil. We get Graveyard Trespasser as our rare showcase card. Jadar, Ghoul Caller of Defalia as another showcase rare. So this is the different treatment for showcase. I think this, they mentioned that this is for the non-werewolf, non-vampires. They use this frame. So similar to the basic lands, the frame does have a different shimmer to it. I think almost like an etch. We get Liesa, Forgotten Archangel, and Suspicious Stowaway as our foil rare. So this pack we did get 4 rares and a Veil of Summer. So I'm not sure, maybe Veil of Summer is even more expensive than the rares, but that's amazing. So there are probably the chance of getting so many rares in a pack, but I think so far we've seen that for this box, it's more or less 1 rare per pack, right? But imagine if you bought 1 pack at your LGS and you happen to open that 1 pack with, you know, 3 or 4 rares in our mythics. That would be like crazy. So this is the regular art for Champion of the Perished. Triskaidekaphile is our rare for this pack, and a Royal Griff is our foil. Oops. Old Stick Fingers is our rare, and Harvest-Tiled Infiltrator foil. How do you guys like the showcase treatment for the set? I think I like it. It has like the comic-ish art, similar to maybe Ikoria. But since these are, you know, mostly humanoid, so the art is more reminiscent to comic books more than Ikoria even was. So our third, you know, duel is Shipwreck Marsh. Last 2 packs for this box. Visions of Dread, Commander Rare. Graveyard Trespasser is our rare for the pack, and Startle is our foil. So last pack for the box. Vanquish the Hordes. So this is a 6 white for a sorcery. It costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, and you destroy all creatures. So it's, you know, basically a Wrath of God, you know, board wipe spell. And I think it's going to be pretty good in Commander. Chances are it's going to just cost white for you to wipe the board. So probably going to be a new staple, you know, board wipe for Commander. So just a quick recap. We got 6 mythics for this box, 5 normal ones, and 1 extended art. Ren and 7. We did get an additional 2 mythics from the commander slot, so Leonore and Wilhelm, and an additional 4 rares from the commander slot. And then we got $29 rares. Yeah, 29 rares, and basically Veil of Summer, Hellkite Overlord for our list cards for this box. So thanks again for watching. I hope you like it. Write some comments below if you want us to make some changes in our next videos. If you want us to specifically review or unbox something specific for Midnight Hunt, or maybe the upcoming Crimson Vow. So thanks again. Bye.